All right, hi everyone. We are looking at the second part of our all transformations mixed together with our quadratics, the second part of that. You already watched the first video about how to graph the equation when they give you the different pieces, the A, H, and K. So now we're going to reverse that idea. They've given us a graph. Now we're going to write the equation. So since we are in fact reversing what we did in the first video, we have to reverse the order we find our information. So when we are given an equation, we started with the A and worked through the H and the K. Now we're going to find the H and the K first, and then we'll deal with the A last. So when we are looking at graphs, the easiest way to do these is to start at the vertex point of your original, hence the 0, 0. So what we want to figure out first is how far did we move to get from your starting vertex. Okay, so there's where we start. Oh, can't really see that. So I'm going to erase that and make it a little bit easier to see. So to get from this starting vertex, how far do I need to move to get to the new position? So let's take a look. Well, from start to finish, we had to move 2 units to the left. So 2 left. Okay, we moved 2 left. From there, we also had to move 3 up. So pardon me for a second, guys. I'm going to just move this up so it's a little bit easier to see and give us a little more room. So we moved 2 left and 3 up. So we're going to take these 2 moves and create the ending part of our equation, and we'll find the A later. All right, so if I am moving 2 to the left, that's talking about the H value. And again, insiders will lie to us. So we have an X, and typically left means we are looking at a minus, but again, insiders lie. So I want a plus. So X plus 2. Now the ending of this, 3 up, this is referring to our K. So again, we have our H and we have the K. So 3 up, outsiders lie, so plus 3. So the only thing I don't know now is my A value and whether it's positive or negative. Well, right now, just looking at the graph, it is opening up, which means I know I'm going to have a positive A. So now we need to compare points here so that we can see exactly what that A value is. So let's make up our table. So right now I'm going to move this graph, and we're going to use this and compare it, get our original points up here on this other graph. So there's our 0, 0, our 1, 1, our positive 1, 1, our negative 1, 1, and now our negative 2, 4, and our positive 2, 4. Okay, and then our points that we had on the graph, I'm going to take this graph and shift it so it lines back up with the original one. So when I go back and look at the original, from this starting point, I had a point up here, which was 3 up and out, 3 up and 1 out from there. So I'm going to use just those 3 points. Okay, I'm going to use just those 3 points, that little section of graph, to figure out what my A value is. So let's move all of that down to our original, line everything back up where it should be. So again, from that starting point, we went up 3 and out 1. So there's our next 2 dots. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit. All right. So here's where our graph is now that we've moved it back to starting position. As we can see, it is inside the original, which means this A value should be bigger than 1 because it is narrow compared to the original. So let's use those points and figure out what happened to our graph. All right, so our original X and Y, so that's the negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2 for the X's, and then the Y's was a 4, 1, 0, 1, and 4. And let's see what happened, because we did something to these Y values. We multiplied by our A to get our new points. So x stays the same, our y's changed. So -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Now, since I only have 3 points, I don't have anything at the -2. So when I'm out here at -2, there's nothing for my new graph there. So I'm not going to have a point for that -2. So I'm just going to leave that space blank for the moment. Same thing for the +2. There's nothing out there on the orange graph that lines up with a +2, so I'm just going to leave it blank. What I'm going to focus on is the -1, 0, and 1. I do have something for those. So at -1, I have a dot, and that is a +3. Okay, 0, 0 is still on my graph. And at +1, I have a dot, which is at +3. So I need to figure out what happened to my +1, 0, and +1 again to get to a 3, 0, and a 3. So we're going to have to do a little bit of solving. So choose one of those 3 pairs of points. I'm just going to go with the one that's at the bottom. Sorry, I'm still on highlighter here. I'm going to choose this one. So we did 1 times our unknown a value and got a +3. So I'm using those 2. So let's just solve this. I need to divide both sides by 1. Oops, not divide by a, sorry, divide by 1. And my a is a 3, a +3. Now I can write my final equation. So my y equals 3 for the a. We had our inside, what did we say earlier? Let's go back up to the top. X plus 2 squared. X plus 2 squared. And then we ended it off with a +3. +3. There's our final equation. Oops, sorry, let me move this back over. There's our final equation. All right, so we're going to do these same things at the last example. So let's take a look at that one and see what's going to go on. All right, so first thing I noticed this time, this graph is pointing downwards. So my a value is going to have to be negative. So like we did before, we're going to start with our 0, 0 point, our vertex, because we need to see how did we move. So this time from our starting position, we went right 1. So before I do anything else, this means I have an x, right 1, insiders lie. So I'm not going to have a +1. I want the opposite, -1. So there's the first part. From there, I also went up 4 units. So right 1 and up 4. Okay, up is an outside move, and outsiders are honest, so +4. So there's the first part of my graph. Now I just need to know, is this a positive or negative? And again, because it opens down, my a is going to be negative this time. Okay, because I open down, I have a negative a. So I'm going to now move this graph so that it lines up with 0, 0. I'm going to move it down. All right, so our starting point, 0, 0, we've got a -1, 1, and a -2, 4, and then +1, 1, and then a +2, 4. Oops, so there's our original. All right, now if I take that same starting graph and move it so it lines up with this one, we will have something at 0, 0. And I've got a point at -1, 2, and +1, 2. So again, I've got just enough room for those 3 points. Those 3 points on our graph. So again, as you can see, the original is open up and our new one is open down. So we're going to use this to figure out what our A is. All right, so let's get your X, Y points going on. All right, so X and Y, we've got -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. +4, 1, 0, 1, and +4 again. And again, we took these A numbers, the Y numbers multiplied by some A and got our new Y points. So -2, -1, same X's, but let's look at these Y's. We have, again, nothing on our graph yet for -2. So follow my -2 down. There's no point there yet. So like before, I'm going to leave it blank. There's nothing at +2, so I'm going to leave it blank. So we are going to check, though, at -1 and +1, because I do have numbers for those. So at -1, we've got a -2, 0 is still 0, and +1, a -2. So let's see what happens. Now, same problem as before. I'm only looking at 3 numbers. And I'm going to use the bottom one like I did on the first one. All right, so I'm going to use that 1 that I highlighted. Times A is supposed to give me a -2. So we're going to solve this for A the same way we did before. I'm going to divide both sides by that 1. And my A value is a -2. So sure enough, it is negative. We predicted it to be negative. And now I have everything I need to write my final equation. So let's write that out. So Y equals -2 times, let's go back up for a second, see what we found for that. X minus 1 squared. And then our last part, let's get our K value, which we said was a +4. So +4. So there is our final graph. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about how to write the equation when they give you the graph. Please make sure you've done all parts of your Nearpod, and don't forget to go back and click submit or turn in, mark as done, whatever the Google Classroom might say, so that we know that you've finished up your assignment. Thanks, guys, and have a great rest of the week.